All right, Mr. Knight, let me turn it over to you.
Well, let's cut to the chase. Miss Arispe, do you know where Bianca is today?
No, sir, not at this time. She's still currently on runaway. I have been going by her grandmother's house here in Beeville, and we have not heard of anything. She has not contacted Paula like she has before.
Miss Arispe, if you'll pardon the expression, how long has she been AWOL?
Since March 20th, last Monday.
And is she keeping up any type of contact with her child?
No, sir. The last contact she had was the week before. We did have a parent-child visit with her here in Beeville, but that was the last.
And since she came back home, how many times has she left?
This is her third runaway episode.
And isn't it true that the department attempted to place her at a facility where she would be together with her child, continue her education and ongoing adult living classes?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And what happened with that?
She decided not to go to Seton Home. She felt that she wasn't ready to take care of Aaliyah, her daughter.
But the department is still willing and able to deliver services to her if and when she shows back up, I take it?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
What is the request of the department today?
It's still family reunification.
And the child is doing well?
Yes, sir, she is.
And who's taking care of the child right now?
Paula Hauso and Javier Perez.
And they're doing well, as I take it?
Yes.
Thank you, Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Tiarena, do you have any questions for Ms. Arispe?
So at this time, what would you say is Mr. Perez's compliance with his services, if there are still any?
At this time, I have not been able to speak with Mr. Perez. He does not want to speak with the department that I'm aware of. I have not been able to speak with him for the past month. I have been speaking to Paula, and she has stated that Mr. Perez no longer wants anything to do with the department. He no longer sees why he has to do services since Bianca is not in the home. So I haven't been able to speak to him personally.
Was there anything other than counseling that the department feels he needed to even do if drugs were never
just individual that was court ordered, and family therapy, but of course the family therapy cannot be done right now.
And you're aware of his various health issues and impairments, right?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. So how long has Bianca been missing this time?
Since last Monday on the 20th, a week and 1 day.
And have you heard anything about someone reaching out or any current locations possibly
No.
for her?
No, sir.
But is the baby that's not part of this case doing well in the home with Javier? And
Yes, she is.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Linscomb, any questions from you?
Yes, Your Honor, just very briefly. Ms. Arispe, I'm certain this is the case, but it was not included in your notification to the court. So I just want to be sure. The notification indicated that CCPD here in Corpus had been notified of Bianca's runaway, but it did not mention Beeville Police Department. Were they also notified?
No, only because the runaway happened in Corpus Christi. She was in a child without placement. So she actually never attended school on Monday morning. They dropped her off and we didn't realize that she was missing until Monday afternoon, trying to pick her up from school. So I did call CCPD right away to report her as a runaway.
But as far as you know, she doesn't really have any substantial contacts or family members here in Corpus that she may run to, correct?
The first episode of her runaway, she does have her sister Clarissa that resides in Corpus, but that I know of, she is still in rehab. But her sister's girlfriend does live in Corpus. That was the first runaway episode that she was with. So, and right now we don't have any address or phone number for Miss Justine Gomez. And she is, I did report it to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So she is in the system as a runaway.
Okay. And I realize, of course, the department will do frequent checks at the locations she's been found before, right? There in Beeville.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
I guess I was just curious as to whether or not we could notify Beeville PD as well in case they come across her. I don't know that they would necessarily immediately know, that she's on runaway status otherwise.
Yes, ma'am, I will notify them.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Knight, any additional questions for Ms. Ariste?
Yes, Your Honor. Why was she in CWAP?
So on her second runaway episode, she was missing from, she was on runaway from February 14th through March 1st. And the reason for that runaway was that Bianca has stated to me that dad, Mr. Perez, no longer wanted her in the home. So she was not allowed to be back in the home. So we were trying to find placement for her during that time.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Is there space at Seton Home now, or is that just the plan or the hope if she were found to get her into a placement like Seton Home where she was before and where she did well?
Well, I keep asking her if she wants to keep Aaliyah with her, and she keeps stating no, that she's not ready to be a mom.
All right, so she doesn't personally want that type of placement.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
All right. Okay, Ms. Featherston, I see you have your hand raised. Is there something you wanted to address with the court?
Regarding the notification to the Behaviour Police Department, Mr. Pettis' home is in the county. Friday evening after I left here, I did go to Behaviour Police Department and asked them if they were aware of it. They officially were not, but I think unofficially they were. And then while I was there, she called county and they were aware of it. But I think there probably needs to be an official notification. But they are aware, and they do know there's an address here in the city where she frequently runs to.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification, Ms. Featherston. All right, Mr. Knight, do you have any other witnesses you wish to call?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Tiarina, any witnesses from you?
I'd like to call Mr. Perez if we could briefly. Okay, so your concerns are mostly about where your daughter is, but you never actually said you don't want her in the home. It's more she won't listen to you and stay, right?
No, sir. What I mentioned was what I told her. I didn't want her doing drugs here at the home. I didn't tell her that I did not want her here. I told her I didn't want her doing drugs here because I know she's had a drug problem in the past, and I know she will still continue using. Even when Miss Arispe came over here, she found a pipe and I get some pot or something. I don't know what it was, but she took pictures and whatnot. And I told her, I specifically told Bianca, I said, I don't want you doing drugs here. I did not tell her I didn't want her here at the home. And besides that, when we talked about being placed back in Seton Home, she said that there's more drugs in there than there is out here in the streets. You don't know. You don't know. I said, well, that's not a good environment for her or Aaliyah. So I said, okay, that's fine. Then we'll try to find something else. And then they want to take her and place her in a motel room, you know, and then send her off into school, giving her access to her phone and whatnot, knowing she's a flight risk. You know, I don't understand. Now here I am sick, worried, you know, I haven't heard from her. I haven't seen her. She blocked this. I haven't seen or heard from her since she left. I'm still here worried about her, you know, and, you know, I'm just, you know, worried something might happen to my health, you know, due to sitting here worrying about her. Because like I said, I haven't not seen or heard from her since they took her from here. Excuse me.
But at this time, what's the last time you did directly hear from your daughter?
That was on the day they took her from here, which was on March. I mean, yeah, the 25th, I believe it was. When they took her from here and they took her and they placed her in Corpus, I believe, at a motel room or something like that.
The 25th of this month or last month?
It was last month.
Okay. So the last time you physically saw Bianca was over a month ago?
No, it's been close to a month now, sir.
If she was located, you would want her in the home with some kind of help for her drug of choice issues, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're not
Yes,
refusing.
sir. Correct. You know.
You just want her.
Excuse me.
You're not refusing to accept her in your home. You just want her to have help for her issues, right?
To get the help. Yes, to get the help that she needs. That's why she said she's not. I mean, if she can't take care of herself, much less her child, you know, that's why I understand that, you know. And I said, well, you know, she's fine here, Bianca. She's fine here, you know. You need to get help for yourself. You need to help yourself before you go try to help this child. Your child needs more help than anything, you know. And she's not in the right state of mind to try to take care of herself or Aaliyah. So that's why, you know, I suggested that if the best interest for Aaliyah was to stay here with us. But
Right.
Never did I once mention that I did not want her here. I told her I didn't want her doing drugs here, but I never did once mention that I didn't want her here. And I want her to get that help. I'm worried sick here. I don't know. I haven't heard from her. I haven't seen or talked to her. Nothing. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know. I have no idea.
But you understand Mr. Risby is required to make contact with you at least once a month, and even if you don't really agree with CPS at the moment, you do need to at least acknowledge them, right? While you have this case
Yes,
open.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, I acknowledge that. But like I said, I mean, what did it talk about? I mean, if you took Bianca from here, you should know where Bianca's at. I don't have no idea. She has not tried to reach out to me. She has not even called. Nothing. I not heard not a single text message. Nothing from her.
Is there any family in the area she's close to or like would reach out to that you might hear from?
No, to be honest with you, her grandma lives in George West, but that's all I know.
And you don't think she's there, right?
No, because her grandma said that the house that they live in is like an efficiency or something like that, where it's only like one bedroom where they stay at. So she would not be able to stay there with them.
But do you have any issues with doing the counseling that was asked where the provider comes to you?
The counseling, I've been doing the counseling. You can ask Mr.
What's your transportation situation now? Are you able to get around? Are you staying at home right now mostly?
I'm still at home. I'm still homebound.
Is there any improvements to your health?
Excuse me?
Is there any improvement?
Improvement? Well, now they told me that because of this third surgery, that there's no strenuous activity, no stooping, bending, thing like that because of the major surgery that I just had. Anytime now, so actually I'm just homebound now. I'm either sitting down or laying down.
That's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you wanted to address or add?
Well, I just needed some type of paper for Aaliyah, like notarized from the courts, stating that, we have a court paper or something saying that it's here with us, and because we need to write her certificate and whatnot, because right now she's just going under baby girl FedEx, she don't have.
I don't know if we're going to be able to hear Mr. Perez, but does anyone else have questions for him?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Featherston, I see your hand is raised again. Is it from earlier? Okay. All right. Okay, so let me just ask, Ms. Linscomb, do you have a report or have you had any communication yourself with Bianca, or she not maintained contact with you?
She has not attempted to contact me at all, Your Honor. As you've heard, of course, this is the third runaway in a very short period of time. This most recent one, I was actually in a jury trial when it occurred, and I guess they were two very close together. So they recovered her. Everyone was really going above and beyond, trying to stay communicative with one another and keep, tabs on where she's supposed to be versus where she is, her comings and goings. So both the department and CASA have been fantastic in that regard. But the last time she was actually with the department, Your Honor, they reached out to me while I was in a jury trial. And of course, because I'm only appointed as the attorney ad litem, unfortunately, the only insight I could give was if she doesn't want to be placed at Seton Home, then I can't ask that she be placed there. So that was really the last I heard, Your Honor. And that was the last time that they physically had her. Beyond that, Judge, I've received no information or leads or tips as to where she might be or what her intentions are with regard to Aaliyah, or whether or not she intends to come back into care.
Well, thank you for that report, Ms. Linscomb. Ms. Belcher, have you had any success in maintaining contact with Bianca?
Well, right now she has basically cut off her Facebook post, that sort of thing. My communication with Bianca was just prior to us picking her up the last time, when I had to call the sheriff's department to go out to Dad's house when I found out that she was out there. But I was extremely concerned because she was messaging me through Messenger on Facebook. That's the only way I could get a hold of her. And my major concern with her was the things she was saying and what she was saying at the time. She had a very dark sense of reality at that time. She admitted to using marijuana. She admitted to being addicted to methamphetamines at that point. She also admitted to me that she didn't feel like she could be a mother to Aaliyah, and that she just wanted everybody to leave her alone. And then she started talking about things like she didn't deserve a good life, that sort of thing. And I brought that to the attention of the department, and I asked them to get her to the medical attention, to get her tested for drugs, that sort of thing. And my understanding is the appointment was set, it was I want to say 2 weeks after we had already recovered her. And it was set for the 21st, I believe, 21st, 23rd, something like that of March. And which of course was 2 weeks into it when she was already at CWAP, which at this point, if she is recovered, I do believe, based upon my communications with her, that she's going to need immediate inpatient care for substance abuse, because based on what she was telling me and the things that she was describing, this is a ongoing usage of the drug to the point where it could be very dangerous to her at this point. It's kind of like it's her only way of life. Her going to a public school right now, I would be real leery about doing, putting her out there so that she, it can leave at any given time. I know that I had talked to Miss Arispe about checking with Moody High School to see if they could check the cameras to see who she left with or something like that. I don't know if they were ever able to accomplish that or not, just to kind of give us an idea of what type of vehicle she left in, so maybe we could identify the person she left with. And like I said, I don't know if we ever got any of that type of information. I know that most schools do have cameras throughout the school and the perimeter of the school so that we could do that. I have reached out to the connections I had before in trying to find her. And based on what I've gotten from them, they have not had any contact with her at this point. Again, the home here, the grandmother's home here, I have driven by several times hoping to see someone. Normally when you go to the door, you won't get an answer when you knock on the door. And so I keep driving by in hopes that I might see somebody out there that I might be able to question about her whereabouts at that point. In talking with Mr. Perez, I think he's kind of feels the same way I do, that she's going to need some type of intensive care for the drug use at this point. Even before we consider putting her back in the home with him. I know he is worried about her. He is concerned about what's going to happen to her and that sort of thing, and being on the streets like she is or wherever she is. And of course, we all know our community is doing awareness now about the sex trafficking and stuff like that. And that's one of my biggest fears for her too at this point. But I think when we do get her back, Lord willing that we do, that we take extreme caution about where we place her and get her the help she needs for the substance abuse at this point, because right now her state of mind is that's the only choice she has based upon my conversations with her at this point. I would love to be able to get her back into the state of mind where her and her child could be reunited. I did see a bonding between her and the child when they were at Seton Home. But I think at this point right now, she just feels like she doesn't have any choices at this with her life. And I think that's where we need to go, in the direction we need to go in trying to assist her in even trying to get her back with Aaliyah. I do know that Mr. Perez is having difficulties in caring for Aaliyah, in the fact that the birth certificate needs to be corrected. I'm not sure why that wasn't done in the past, especially when she was at Seton Home, because they can't even get daycare for the child until they have a legitimate birth certificate. And I'm not sure if, someone giving them temporary custody of the child would help in that matter or not. But the birth certificate does say baby girl Perez on it, and the name was never put on there. So of course, I'm not sure how they got the other documents through the process when we had Aaliyah in custody without that birth certificate. And if there is a birth certificate somewhere that does have her name on it, I think we need to assist Mr. Perez in that area. And I know that's not a case for the court at this point, but I think it's something we need to reach out and try and do, considering Aaliyah is a victim in this situation because of the mother's situation.
Well, thank you, Ms. Belcher. Does anyone else need to address the court at this time? If not, based on the testimony the court has heard today, the court is going to find that Bianca is currently on runaway and that she's in an unauthorized placement at this time, but that the department is exercising diligent efforts to try to locate her and return her to an authorized placement and to safety and to security. The court is ordering those efforts to continue full scale and to, I think part of those efforts do need to include an official notification to the Beeville Police Department and the B County Sheriff's Department to ensure that local officials have the knowledge that they need to be assisting efforts to locate her and return her to care if they in fact run into her in any capacity in the future. I also I am assuming that we have a special investigator on the case to assist in the efforts to locate her, and I'm ordering the department to continue with a special investigator assisting in the efforts to locate her and to return her to an authorized placement. When she is located, I'm ordering the department to find a placement for her that includes access to drug treatment, and I'm ordering that the department facilitate drug treatment, substance abuse treatment services for her, because it sounds like that's imperative at this time. And I hear that Mr. Perez doesn't have, wants her to return home, but I also heard him say that he doesn't want her there if she is using, and that seems to be where she is right now in her life. And so I think we need to find a place where she can address that issue, and that she doesn't jeopardize the safety and security of their own home with Aaliyah there at this time. So we need to address that issue once Bianca is located. As for the other issues, the ancillary issues related to Aaliyah, I'm not sure what the department can do other than point Mr. Perez and Ms. Josso to the right people to try to address that issue. And I know that that's difficult given the fact that, they don't have Bianca's assistance at this point, which is, I think, going to be critical to address that issue. And it's a lengthy process getting those vital statistic forms corrected. But I think it's made all the more complicated for, individuals like Mr. Perez who are limited in their mobility and, have issues. So I know that Aaliyah is not in the department's care, but I do think it's really important for you to share whatever resources or information that you have to assist him in addressing that issue, because otherwise, Aaliyah, we're going to continue to have issues, and reasonable efforts to prevent or eliminate the potential for removal would need to be documented in the future. And I think this would include that, like if you're really working to try to keep her safe and secure in Mr. Perez's home at this time. And that's one way you can do that. So I'm very sad to hear about all the issues that Bianca's going through. It seems to me she really needs some mental health treatment as well. I mean, in addition to the substance abuse treatment, she sounds very depressed and very lacking in hope for her future. And so I hope that we can get her that mental health treatment immediately if she's located as well. So I want that set up the minute she returns to care as well. We are set for final trial on June the 13th at 1:30. Is there anything else that we need to address while we are all together today? All right. Other than I am finding that Mr. Perez is in substantial compliance with his plan of service, if I didn't already say that. Once again, we'll be back on June the 13th at 1:30. I believe there is an agreement amongst the parties regarding Zoom proceedings, but can I verify that that is the preferred format for all parties for the next hearing?
Yes,
The
sir.
department so requests, Your Honor.
We're in agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So that will be a Zoom hearing on June the 13th at 1:30 per the agreement of the parties. So thank you all so much. If there is nothing further, I'll